Okay, so what's up, everybody? Thanks for clicking this video. Thanks for tuning into my channel. My name's Simon Hill, Black American from Louisiana, coming to you live from Budapest, Hungary. Yes, I am in Budapest right now. This is where I will be living for the next few years as I continue my studies in university. One thing that really bothers me is when people reach out to me, they see my content on YouTube, and then when they reach out, they say, "Hey, Simon, where are you now?" I say it in every single video where I am. You don't have to dig very far to find out where I am. So let's get into our topic for today. I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. I just hit 2,505 subs. Every sub matters to me. Every person that clicks that button and likes my content and shares my content, leaves a comment under my content that doesn't get deleted or blocked, I really do appreciate all of you. All of you matter to me so much because I remember like yesterday starting this channel with less than 100 subs, putting up videos every few months, maybe even once a year, just to do something, just to share my opinion. This channel started as a way for me to vent, for me to get my ideas out, my frustrations out, my experiences out, for me to have recollections and memories for the future. And that was the purpose of this content. And that will always be the purpose of my content. It's not for fame. It's not for glory. It's just to share my ideas and share my opinions with people, and also to collect my experiences, because I know I live a very privileged life, a special life. And I know that later on, people will have to look back on this and say, boy, did he live it up. I try to live an exemplary life. I try to live a life that is good. I try to live a life that you should model after, and that sort of stuff. I don't mean to rant or anything like that, but let's talk about something before I get into the subject of this video that you see in the title. So this is still a small channel. Most of my videos don't even crack 100 views. And you know what? Some people might say Simon is a struggle tuber. Simon is a wannabe YouTuber. Those YouTube checks that I do collect don't say struggle tuber. They don't say unsuccessful YouTuber. I'm very fortunate to know that I'm in a select class of people that actually are able to generate some revenue from their content. Most people dream. A lot of young people dream, not most, but a lot of young people dream about becoming YouTubers. And I was fortunate enough to sort of like stumble upon this. It's not something that I really subscribe to be, or strive to achieve. It's something that I sort of worked as a passion project on the side, and we are seeing some compensation and remuneration for it, which is actually positive. But most of my videos are not very popular. They don't crack 100 views, most of them. And you know what? I'm actually okay with that, because I'm actually scared of the power of words. A lot of times in my life that I've gotten into trouble or had amazing things happen was just because of my words. The first time I was suspended from high school, I've told this story many times, it was because I refused to say the Pledge of Allegiance to the United States flag. And some teacher saw me in the hallway, walking down the hallway, trying to go get some water while the Pledge of Allegiance is playing there. And she told me to turn around and not say it. And I said, I will not salute that racist Nazi flag. That's how I feel about the American flag. Other times when I got in trouble in school one time because I wrote a rap about a math teacher, my 6th grade math teacher, I forgot her name. She was overweight, and I wrote a rap about how big and lardy she was. The teacher saw me passing the note to another student who also rapped in class, and basically she was highly upset. And my father came down to school and said, you know, my son is just exercising his freedom of expression and that sort of stuff. But I almost got suspended from school that time. I never got kicked out of school for fighting. I never got in trouble with other people or anything like that because of physical altercations. It's just because of my words. And I realized that the tongue is more powerful than the sword or the fist or the bullets or the bombs. People are still fighting and dying right now over religions that started 2,000 years ago. All the prophets left us were their words, yet and still people are willing to lay their lives on the line for Jesus, for Muhammad, for Moses, for Abraham, for any other of the other prophets. People are still fighting and dying for Marx. Marx is gone. Marx never lifted up a gun, but all he did was lift up that pen. And so I'm kind of scared a little bit to really have people address my words or hear and listen to my message, because I know my message is very radical, but it's also very pure. It comes directly from the heart. Everything I say on this channel, I'm willing to fight and die over, which is why I named this channel Simon Hill Keeps It Trill, because I will never be fake. I will never lie on this channel, and I'm proud of every single video I've done on this channel. I have close to around 500 videos in my catalog on this channel, and the only time I've ever deleted a video on my channel was one. That shows you that no, I am not a fool with my words. Every time I speak to y'all, it comes directly from the truth that's within my heart and the knowledge that is in my brain that I gather and collect and disperse out into the world and put my take on it and that sort of thing. So I'm not ever at all ashamed of what I've done. I'm not going to back down from anything I've said, and I hope that my words are enlightening to people, inspiring to people, and motivational for people. This is not some red tube manosphere channel. I'm not Tony Robbins. I'm not here to pump you up. I'm not here to make you go outside and grind your life out to get $1 million. That's not the point of it. But I hope that my words are motivational for people. But I'm very scared because sometimes my words can be interpreted by people as being hateful, deceitful. They can be interpreted by people as spreading misinformation, propaganda, discrimination against groups of people. None of that is my intentions at all. So some of my biggest videos on my channel, the ones that have gotten tens of thousands of views. I don't have a video that's over 40,000 views. I've never cracked 100,000 yet, but I'm pretty sure that will happen in the future if I continue my output and my pace. Some of the videos that have been the biggest on my channel have been a part of my biggest series, which has been my Black Sit series, right? And my Black Sit series is about my honest experiences about what it's like to be Black living in a country for an extended amount of time. Because I work as an English teacher, because I'm an online educator, I have the luxury, the privilege, the opportunity to travel wherever I go and still make money, allowing me to stay in places much longer than your typical tourist. As long as I have this laptop, this same laptop that I'm speaking to you from, I can pick up and travel to any country in the world and allow myself to actually live in that experience and experience what that's like. Not many people have that opportunity. Shout out to Living Wisdom. He jumped into the chat. He says, as melanated people, we will never get respect until we get power. I believe you said that last time, and I somewhat agree with that, but let's get back into the topic here. So my Black Sit series is the most popular content on my channel, because I don't believe that there's anything else like it on YouTube. Or at the very beginning, when I first started it, there was nothing else like it on YouTube. When I made my first video talking about my experiences in Tunisia, there was nobody Black traveling, as far as I know, talking about what it's like to live in different countries for an extended period of time and document or explain how people interacted with you as a Black person. And I believe that's why the Tunisia video blew up, the Serbia video blew up, the Mauritius video blew up, the Turkey video blew up, and of course the Albania video blew up. And I hope that inspired other Black travel content creators to actually come on here and speak honestly from the heart, because the last thing we need is more travel content from Black people going places and saying the food's great, the weather is nice, everything is so cheap in Mexico. Oh, the girls are all over me. We don't need that anymore. We don't need that anymore, because what we are looking for Black men, specifically Black American men who are traveling abroad, is to document what it is like to be outside right now of our country, which is hostile to our life, hostile to our expression, and is on the verge of fascism. Absolutely real. And that's what we need. I'm going to jump into the comments from Living Wisdom. Living Wisdom says, power respects power. None of this crying and complaining about racism works. Okay, so Living Wisdom is displaying somewhat of coonish behavior. We are not complaining about racism. We are not crying about racism. We are documenting white supremacy that is taking the lives of literal people. Living Wisdom lives in a country where a small white minority controls most of the wealth. Meanwhile, the Black South Africans live in slums. So Living Wisdom can't come in here and crying about racism doesn't work, when literally in his country, white supremacist racism keeps Black South Africans fighting for the scraps, living in a system where they have to load shed and not live days without electricity. This is the type of situation Live in Wisdom talks about. And this is why we are on this channel every day and night fighting against these sort of coons and these sort of people who believe these things that make us constantly held back. You can't talk about getting power when the power is in the hands of white supremacists that literally have your country hostage after the end of apartheid. Live in wisdom. What type of wisdom is that? So Live in Wisdom says, facts, you were one of the first Black YouTubers I seen in Morocco, Tunisia. I never went to Morocco, though I would like to go to Morocco. So continuing on from here, a lot of other Black YouTubers now are starting to follow the precedent that I set. Even though I set a small precedent, I did not get the opportunity to travel to all the countries that I wanted to go to, or to go to all the places that I really wanted to travel to. Because I settled down a bit and I'm studying in university now. So Hungary will be the place that will be my home base for the next few years. I really wish I was still out on road. I really wish I was still outside with the backpacks and all that. I really wish I was still hopping on flights every few months and that sort of stuff, because I sincerely love to travel. As a Muslim, the Quran tells us that we're supposed to travel and see the creations of Allah. So I do that as a part of my duty as a Muslim man, but also because of my own interests. I am interested to know how the world reacts to Black life in different places and circumstances. And I've met some crazy surprises, like the fact that there can be so much white supremacy in Black Africa, like when I went to Tanzania and Kenya, and where they worship the white man and put on whitening soap and chase down white women and that sort of stuff. And then I'm also surprised by the sort of nonchalance that exists here in Hungary. In Hungary, it is a very, very white nation, but at least in Budapest, I walk outside and nobody makes a spectacle of my Blackness. Nobody is making me feel outwardly uncomfortable in Budapest, which is a positive thing. And that's a surprise. And that's one of the joys of traveling. You get to experience different things, see new things, and interact with different people. Gonna jump into the comments here from Jerry S. Yeah, if you got a chip on your shoulder and got a victim identity, you will feel like a victim wherever you go. So I want to ask Jerry S. this question, because Jerry S. is possibly a white man and a suspected white supremacist. I want to ask you, where is the chip on my shoulder? Where is the chip on my shoulder when an 11-year-old boy is shot by the Mississippi police? Where is the chip on my shoulder when I am out on a honeymoon with my wife, spending thousands of dollars to travel abroad, and people yell F, N-word at me for no reason? Where is that automatic chip on my shoulder? Did I cause those things to happen to those people? Did I cause those things to happen to me? No, I did not. What we are pointing out, Jerry, is the system of white supremacy, the same system that keeps Africa as the poorest, most dilapidated continent on the planet. The same system that has the entire world worshiping the blonde hair and blue eyes on a certain subsect of people. What we are fighting against are the embargoes against Cuba, the embargoes against Zimbabwe, and other places across the world. I'm getting very hot, and I am very, very disappointed that I have blatant white supremacists in my chat. I am very disappointed that Live in Wisdom speaks about we don't need to complain about racism while he lives in a nation dominated by white supremacists. I am disappointed that Jerry S. decided to subscribe to my channel, because there is nothing in my content that would dictate that you bitch ass motherfuckers should come on my channel. And I would block your bitch asses, and I don't care if nobody subscribes to me. If I'm in this live stream talking to myself, I don't want you bitch ass motherfuckers who hate Black people on my motherfucking channel. You bitch ass nigga. And Jerry, that's why your ass is getting blocked. Hide user from that motherfucking channel. You will not be on this platform. Period. Live in Wisdom. Live in Wisdom says, we have the legislative power, military power, but our leadership hates their flesh. Call me what you want, Simon, but I come from the depths of poverty. Personal responsibility saves me. Nobody said that personal responsibility is not important in this life. But what we do have a responsibility to do as Black men in this world is to actually acknowledge white supremacy in play. Live in Wisdom. If you just say, well, I made it out of poverty, therefore every Black South African can make it out of poverty, explain why in a country where you are the majority, you still have a white minority that controls all the wealth. Yet and still you want to come on this channel and tell me that white supremacy and anti-Black racism is not a problem. That is coon behavior, sir. That is coon behavior. You are a coon. You are probably a man who worships whiteness if you say those sorts of things. Continuing on with my spiel, because I was staying on track. I was staying on track right here. The thing is, about the Black Sit content that I've done, I am very glad that it is now influencing the other content creators who are talking about Black travel. Because recently I got tagged in a post from another creator named Jay Focused. Now, I would do this reaction video the typical way people do reaction videos, as in showing the video on screen and reacting to the things he says and that sort of stuff. But I will not do that. I will not do that because, number one, I don't know these niggas and I don't want a copyright strike. My channel is very raw and edgy as it is, and YouTube has consistently tried to limit my revenue, even though on certain live streams, I don't curse. On certain live streams, I don't come on here and make a big show. I do my absolute darndest to follow their community guidelines and all of that, yet and still YouTube wants to try to limit the amount of capital that I can accumulate for my hard work into this channel. So that's why in this stream, I don't care. So I'm just going to be recounting the video that he did, and the link for it is in the description of this video. He went to a country that I visited called Mauritius, and Jay Focused video is actually very, very good. I will never discount the experiences of another Black traveler, period, period, period. If I went to Mauritius and I said there is no explicit anti-Black racism from my experience, that is my experience. But if Jay Focused in his video comes out and says he experienced racism at the airport, he experienced racism out in the streets, I will never, ever, ever in my life say anything negative about this man or say that he is lying. Because number one, I'm not Mauritian. What is the point for me caping for Mauritius? And I hope this is a lesson for other Black people out here. There is no reason to cape for another group of people when you have other Black men who go through experiences. We should be on the side of every brother who talks about any sort of circumstance that he goes through. So in his video, he talked about going to Mauritius. He opens up the video, and I'm watching the video on the side here, and I highly suggest that you watch it, comment, like it, share it, and that sort of stuff. The brother makes great content and that sort of stuff. Right? He talks about the background of Mauritius. It's a small Indian island nation on the African continental shelf. The majority of the island is made up of Indians. They speak French Creole as their lingua franca in the streets. And on top of that, it's the furthest east African nation you can go to. It also has a very high human development index. And that's how he starts the video off, just giving some background information on Mauritius. He then goes to talk about how he went to the airport, and basically going to the airport there was one of the worst experiences he's had in his life. He says that the customs agents and all the people who were working there, monitoring the people that were coming into the country, getting their passport stamped, were very rude to him, and they were very condescending in a way when he noticed that they were only treating him this way, but not the other white travelers who were going to Mauritius. He pointed out that many of the tourists that travel to Mauritius are mostly of European descent or white people and that sort of stuff. So these sort of people get easier access and easier treatment when they walk into Mauritius. Meanwhile, all the other Africans and Black people that enter into Mauritius get a suspect sort of treatment. They get more questions asked and that sort of stuff. That reminded me a little bit of my experience going into Mauritius. So when I traveled to Mauritius, my problem was that I usually fly one way because I'm a digital nomad and I want to try to buy tickets at lower prices at different times and that sort of stuff. So I travel one way because it's cheaper than buying a round trip ticket. Plus, usually I'm traveling and not planning to return. I plan on heading on the road to different places. But when I was leaving Istanbul with my wife to Mauritius, the guy who was working for Saudi Airlines was telling us that we needed a return ticket or an onward ticket or that sort of stuff. And we had to, basically get a return ticket wink, 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 made and show it to the guy. And that almost made us miss our flight. All right. That was a big problem leaving Istanbul. When we made it to Mauritius, when we finally made it to Mahaburg, the guy was talking like, where is your onward ticket? Where is your return ticket? The thing is, we left the document that we showed to the guy who led us onto Saudi Airlines in Istanbul. So we didn't have that same document anymore. We didn't have Wi-Fi either to go and download it or anything like that. So we had to actually physically buy, with like $600, an onward ticket to Tanzania, which is how we ended up going to Tanzania about 3 months after our stay in Mauritius. Meanwhile, we're looking at other white tourists who are coming in, and they're not getting that same treatment at all. Now, I don't know exactly whether the white tourists who were entering into Mauritius had onward tickets or return tickets and stuff like that. But I was looking at this white family, mom, dad, son, daughter, going to the counter with the customs guy who's supposed to stamp passports. And he's basically smiling in the face, welcome to Mauritius, all that sort of stuff. They get their passport stamped on the way. It didn't look like there was a whole lot of document exchange, as if they were doing that. Some people might say I was pocket watching. Some people might say I was being nosy or being in other people's business. But I just had to point that out there, because as Black men, we're often looking at circumstances from the other way. We look and say, oh, they don't get treated like how I get treated when I walk into the store or when I go through the airport and that sort of stuff. That's just a natural part of Black life, right? Because we want to see the double standards happen in front of us. So that was my experience going through the Mauritian airport. Could it have been racism? Possibly. There is a difference, and I will cover this later with other Black travelers as I get to that. There is a difference somewhat when Black American men travel and when Black African men travel, right? Because there is some passport privilege if you are from the diaspora of the Black race and you come from France, the UK, Canada, America, and that sort of stuff. Because the passport sort of lets you get by to some extent. To some extent. I'm not going to say that I'm American and I get special privilege or special treatment and that sort of stuff. But it does help a little bit when you go through immigration and stuff. Because if I were Nigerian, if I were South African, if I were Kenyan or something like that, there'll be a whole lot more scrutiny, I bet you, on visas, your passport, your vaccination documents, where will you be staying, how long will you be here, go to the police right after you come here, because in some countries you travel to, the law is that you have to register with the police station nearest your accommodation, all that sort of stuff. Usually when you're American, they let you slide by, right? And so Jay Focused in his video right here, which I suggest you check out, doesn't really cover that. And once again, I'm not discounting his experience at all as after that. I don't know exactly how long he stayed, right? And I think it's important for us, if we're going to talk about our experiences as Black men, to be there to tell people how long we stayed and that sort of stuff. And I'm not going to ever, say that, oh, you need to be there a month to really document racism, or you need to be there 2 or 3 months, because I know not everybody has the privilege I have of working online and that sort of stuff. A lot of people who look like they're traveling a lot of different places, save up a lot of money, really work to grind it out to be able to travel to different places. So I'm not going to say that my experience or the way I travel is the way that everybody else can travel or even should travel, right? But I do think it's important we let people know how long you are there, right? Were you there 1 week, 2 weeks, and that sort of thing? I don't remember hearing that in the video. Jay Focused, if you're watching this, I'm sorry if I got that wrong. I watched your video at least 3 times, but I watch everything on 2x. So if I missed that part, I apologize. Other than that, when he was out in Mauritius and going different places, other than that, when he was going different places and stuff like that, I'm gonna jump here. I'm gonna jump back to the video, but let me jump into the comment from Live in Wisdom. Live in Wisdom says, LOL, South African passport is great, bro. Never had problem. My girlfriend is Nigerian. Was a nightmare what I went through with her. Okay, I am not discounting that the South African passport is probably strong in some places. I don't know anything about the South African passport, and honestly, I don't really care. But I do believe that African travelers really do get some hassle when they go different places. And sorry, Live in Wisdom, that I pointed out the South African passport. People get so upset about small details about what I say rather than focusing on the bigger picture. The bigger picture is I was trying to make a point about African travelers getting more scrutiny because that is white supremacy in play. That is anti-black racism. But people like Jerry and people like Living Wisdom think we shouldn't talk about racism, even though we see our black brothers and sisters from Africa go through hell whenever they travel to Europe, go through hell whenever they travel to Asia, go through hell whenever they travel to America, go to hell when they go through hell even when they travel within Africa. But people think that's not racism, right? No, it's not racism, of course. Anyway, like I was saying, Jay Focus talked about his Airbnb host was half Indian, half Muslim, which I found a bit weird. I found a bit weird and funny, to be honest. There are some people that say that Muslims can be racialized in a sense, but India is home to one of the largest ummas on the planet. I believe there's like 200 million Muslims within India themselves, and it's indistinguishable, a Hindu Indian and a Muslim Indian, other than their dress, if you were just to look at the people. So I found that a bit odd to say that, but I do understand what he's saying, because Mauritius is a very Hindu nation. Like, they have the large temples to their gods, a lot of Hindu temples all over the place and that sort of stuff. So Mauritius does have a very strong Hindu identity. And maybe the Muslims in Mauritius, and I didn't delve that much into it when I was in Mauritius. I did document my experience going to Juma in Mauritius and that sort of stuff, but I didn't, really build on the Islamophobia, or if there is anti-Muslim sentiment within Mauritius. I didn't really build on that, but I can understand where he's coming from, that the Mauritian Muslims, who can be a mix of Black African, some of them might be Black African, and some of them might be Indians from the Indian continent, or descended from people from the Indian subcontinent and that sort of stuff, might feel marginalized in a nation that is so explicitly Hindu and that sort of stuff. So I just found that a bit odd, but that's okay. Other than that, it was very cool. He talked about stuff in my video that I didn't talk about. In my Black Sit reviews, I don't talk about the food, or I don't talk about the women and stuff like that. Number one, because I'm married, and number two, I'll eat anything. I'll eat anything, but yeah, it was cool. If you're a passport bro, I'm not saying Jay Focus is a passport bro, because to me, passport bro is a slur. If you call me a passport bro to my face, I will passport you, bro. Seriously, don't ever call me a passport bro, because that is not what my content is about. I don't go to different countries and document my experiences, trying to sleep with different women, trying to bed different women, trying to holla at different women and put it on YouTube. That is absolutely not what I will ever do. That is gross to me. I'm not trying to say that, but he did mention that in Mauritius, the girls were, how can I say, not very kind or friendly to him. I would say that's a bit funny that you would even talk to some Mauritian girls, because honestly, they're not lookers. They have the most average women on the planet, in my opinion. Mauritius got some real average broads. Like, they're 3s and 4s at best, in my opinion. In my opinion, but that's just a joke. I'm just joking with you, Jay. And other than that, his video is very, very good. I wanted to say that he also spoke about talking about the Africans, the Black people in Mauritius. The Black people in Mauritius are kept at the socioeconomic ladder at the very bottom. And that's very, very, very true. When you go to Mauritius, the dark-skinned people, or the Black Africans, are the ones who are your garbage men. They're the ones who are just hanging out in the streets, a lot of homeless people and that sort of stuff. Meanwhile, in other industries, like he pointed out at the airport, they are dominated by the Indians. The Indians control the entire island, right? They work in the banks, they work in the schools, they're the presidents, they're the elected officials, and they're the rich CEOs and stuff like that. He also pointed out in the video that a lot of the tourists come from Britain and stuff like that, but I find it hard that you didn't mention the French presence. When I was in Mauritius, I stayed at a place called Grand Bay. Grand Bay was an amazing city, really dope place. I highly suggest you go. And yeah, you walk into the supermarket and there's nothing but like French people in there, like French people speaking French. They're French because they're like this thin, but they, ordered like 15 baguettes in their carts and stuff like that. So yeah, I find it hard that you can't talk about the French presence in Mauritius, because French white people are all over the island, everywhere. But a lot of other Europeans too. I went and hiked the tallest mountain in Mauritius, and my wife and I were talking to like this German couple that moved there and stuff like that. So yeah, it's very real. There are a lot of Europeans in Mauritius who go there to retire or just go there for vacations and stuff like that. It's a great honeymoon destination, and I think the important thing that all Black content creators who travel try to do is just highlight the inequities and the ill treatment that they receive when they go to a country. Not one Black travel YouTuber I've seen comes up and says, you know what, I hate this nation. I've never even said that. Even though I've faced some of the worst racism while abroad, I've never once said, oh, I hate this nation or I hate this country or anything like that. I've never once said that, period. And all the other Black travel content creators I will talk about today never said that either. In fact, Black travel content creators go out of their way to say, we are not making these videos to denigrate this nation. What they are doing, though, is being real about their experience. So Live in Wisdom says, what was the most racist place you visited? Albania, hands down. Got called the N-word in the street, just minding my own business. I wasn't crying and complaining about racism. I was walking to KFC, Live in Wisdom. I wasn't walking down the street saying, oh, people are so mean because they're racist. No, I was just walking, listening to music, minding my own business, and people yell, nigger, nigger to me. Oh, yeah, Live in Wisdom. But I was crying and complaining about racism. Ain't that right, Jerry? I was walking around with a chip on my shoulder. And so that forced people to yell racial slurs at me. Of course. Anyway, I'll continue. So yeah, shout out to Jay Focused for what he did. Very dope video that he did. Now let's talk about the other Mauritius video that came out. It was from Stephen Ndokwu. All right, and he's a African YouTuber. I believe he's from Nigeria. I don't know. I don't watch a lot of other YouTubers who are Black. All right. And I've said the reason why. It's because, unfortunately, a lot of people, especially if they come from Africa, hold anti-Black views, meaning that they believe that there is some deficiency within Black people that makes us in our condition where we are. But I will make this absolutely clear. There is nothing Black people have done that made us deserve South Africa having 80% of the Black population living in abject poverty. There is nothing Black people have done that causes Zimbabwe to be under sanctions from the United States. There is nothing Black people have done that have caused the resources from the Congo to be extracted by European powers, and while they make billions and the Congolese children have to jump into a hole and dig for cobalt with their bare fingers. There is nothing Black people did that caused us to go through 400 years of slavery and 100 years of segregation. There is nothing we have done, and there is nothing that we are doing right now that is keeping us in our place. There is nothing we have done. People say Black people need to work hard. I'm a hardworking Black man right here. People say Black people need to get educated. I'm an educated Black man right here. People say Black people need to go out and see the world and not stay in their circles. I've been outside in different countries half my life right now. Half my life. Everything people say that Black people shouldn't do, I don't do. And everything people say Black people should do, I do. And what happens? I still experience anti-Black racism. Was looking like this in Tunisia all the time. And I had people yelling Zanj and Abd at me, going through all sorts of racism. But people still say stupid shit like this in my chat. People still come into my live stream and say stupid shit like Black people need to stop crying about racism. As if we invented the goddamn thing, you bitch ass niggas. Anyway, Stephen Ndokwu made a video titled, Is the Racism Against Black Africans in Mauritius True? And it was a very, very, very dope video. Very dope video. I find it very good that people are highlighting the voices of Black Africans when he traveled. I think one thing, though, and once again, I will not show the video because I don't know these niggas. I don't know these niggas. And yeah, these people might copyright strike my video, so I won't be showing the actual video, but I'll be summarizing it. So Stephen Ndokwu is like Tayo Aina, another guy, and I hope I pronounced that name right, but you know who I'm talking about. He is another Nigerian traveler who goes to different places and basically shows what it's like to travel as a Nigerian with his passport and what it's like to go there and stuff like that. There's a lot of like fluffy stuff they do. You know, it doesn't get very controversial. It doesn't get very sensational and stuff like that. What he does is like try to show all the sights and the attractions and change people's minds and perspectives about Africa. But I do believe that my voice as a Black traveler with the Mauritius video that I did approaching 2 years old now, did have an impact, because Stephen Ndokwu traveled to Mauritius and then made this whole video talking about what it's like to be a Black African in Mauritius. And it's very, very, very good. I will not discount the experiences of any of the Black Africans that he interviewed in his video, but I'll just say this. I do think it's important, though, if we do go to different nations and have street interviews with people, why not also, and this is just a suggestion, why not also talk to the people who are part of the dominant society in that nation? So if you're going to go to Mauritius and talk about what anti-Black racism is there, I do think it's important, though, to interview an Indian Mauritian too. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. And I'm not saying you have to cut out a space for the Black Africans or try to put that there to counteract what they're saying. No, not at all. You could have went up and cold approached somebody, not had their face on camera, and asked them sincerely, hey, what does the average Mauritian person think of the Nigerians who are traveling to Mauritius? What does the average Mauritian person think about interracial marriage? What does the average Mauritian person think about the Black Mauritians who have been here since the beginning and that sort of stuff? What does the average Mauritian think is the reason why the Black Mauritians live in poverty? Meanwhile, a lot of the Indian Mauritians live pretty good. If you ask them those questions, I thought that would have been hella informative, because I feel like if you were to do a video about racism in America and you only talk to Black people, I feel like that's half of the story. And yes, it's an important part of the story, but it's only like half of the story. And once again, I will not discount the experiences of any other Black traveler, but I'm just giving my suggestions on how I would have done it, in my opinion. And now I don't do those sorts of videos where I cold approach people and ask them questions. To me, I'm not that type of person. I want to go to a place and experience what it's like without having to force interactions on people. I don't do that at all. But if you are going to do that, which is what you did in your video, Stephen, in my opinion, why not also take that conversation to the Indians? Take that conversation to the other groups of people that live on the island. That's very important as well. Very interesting what he said in this video. Some of the Black travelers here were talking about going through immigration and how blatantly racist it was. This one Black girl, she travels with a diplomatic passport from her African nation. I believe it's Nigeria or Kenya. I forgot which one. And basically, the customs agents opened her bags. They found a bunch of bananas and apples and stuff like that. And they said, oh, you're trying to bring diseases into our country and that sort of stuff. She said, well, no, I'm not. I'm just traveling here. It's just food. It's literally just food. I'm not trying to sell these things on the black market or anything like that. And then she told them about her diplomatic passport. And basically, they said, oh, we wouldn't have checked your bags had you had a diplomatic passport, which goes to show that there is some classism along with the racism that comes with traveling while abroad, because having a diplomatic passport is, of course, a privilege. It's a status symbol. So they mentioned that. He also interviewed a white South African woman, and she didn't mention any sort of racism, of course, which goes to highlight that there is a double standard, because all the Black Africans they're talking to in Mauritius said, oh, yeah, we face racism on the daily, right? Entering the country, being out in the country, people assume crime is done by Nigerians in Mauritius and that sort of stuff. And yeah, the white South African lady said, you know, I just don't imagine living here because there's more opportunities in South Africa. So that was interesting to see that. But overall, it's a very good video. He did mention that Mauritius is expensive. Now, when I went to Mauritius back in 2022, I forgot exactly, 2022. Yeah, because last year I was not in Mauritius. I went to Mauritius back in 2022 and stayed there for 3 months, right? I was in Mauritius, and then it wasn't expensive. Like, we were staying in entire apartments for like, I don't know, $200 a week. We were eating out for like less than $10. Grocery shopping was expensive, yes, but the housing and the traveling around the country and that sort of stuff was not that expensive. We were using Booking.com and VRBO, and I believe 1 or 2 Airbnbs during our stay in different cities and places in Mauritius. So it wasn't like bank breaking. Now, I do think a part of that had to do with us going towards like the end of the winter season. You know, Mauritius is in South America. So when we made it there, South America, the Southern Hemisphere, Mauritius is in the Southern Hemisphere. So when we went down there, I believe in August or something like that, Yeah, they were still coming out of winter. So a lot of people aren't going to travel to the tropical places in winter because the water's cold, it's raining a lot and stuff like that. We made it to Mauritius sort of at the tail end. So maybe it wasn't like peak season and stuff like that. And on top of that, 2022 is not that long after the COVID pandemic. I think when we showed up in Mauritius, we had to show COVID vaccinations and that sort of stuff. Maybe even the yellow fever booklet. I don't remember that exactly. But yeah. When we were in Mauritius, it was not that expensive. But in Steven's video, he said he spent over $5,000 there just being in a month. Now, I can imagine that happening. I think it depends on if you stay at the resorts, fancy hotels, fancy Airbnbs. Of course, you can spend $5,000 staying in Kenya. You could spend $10,000 staying in Tanzania. You could spend $20,000 staying in South Africa. It doesn't matter exactly about the country. What matters is the time you go, the time. It only matters about the time. If a country becomes more popular, if a country becomes more developed, if it's the right season, of course you're going to pay more, right? I've told my experience before about traveling to Guyana. I went to Guyana. Guyana is a small country in South America around 2014, right? I stayed at a hotel there for about 5 days. That was maybe $80 or something like that. When I looked at that same hotel in 2023, last year, like staying there for those same amount of nights is like $600. So yeah, a lot can change. And a lot of that happened in Guyana because they discovered oil off the coast of the nation and now they're developing and getting rich. So Mauritius might be more expensive now. I don't know. But overall, it was very good to see the video from Stephen Nduku talking to Black Africans in Mauritius. Okay. All right, let's go here to the next video because that's all I really have to say about Mauritius. I'm very proud of all my Black people who are traveling and that sort of stuff. There's no animosity or dislike for the Black African travelers who are going different places. What I said earlier was that, a lot of people from my experience have some anti-Black views behind closed doors. So I don't want to be like friends and buddy with them, but I do support Black men traveling because it is a privilege, and it's a privilege that has been very rare for our people to attain. Let's jump into the next video. So this video is from Joel Tamara. Joel Tamara, I don't know where he's from. He has a very thick African accent. I'm going to assume he's from Nigeria. This is his video right here of him traveling in Tirana, Albania, and that sort of stuff. And basically, people were harassing him because he was walking with 2 Albanian women. Now, it was a very interesting video, okay? I get the impression that Joel Tamara is a very friendly guy. He's a nice guy. He really loves to travel. I checked out some of his other videos. He went to like Romania and different parts of Eastern Europe and stuff like that. And he is really grinding it out on the travel side of Black YouTube because he's got 30,000 subs. So shout out to him. Shout out to all my brothers who are doing very well. All of them have more subs than me, more views than me. This video here might get 20 views, 30 views. Their videos regularly do 3,000 views, 10,000 views, 100,000 views, etc. These guys are successful. This is not, they are not, and I am not in their lane at all. In fact, they are much better at this than me. But I'm very glad that I was able to influence them because he did shout me out at the end. So basically, he went to Tirana and he also went to Macedonia as well. And he said that and he showed as well that he was walking with these 2 Albanian girls and the Albanian men were harassing him. They were yelling racial slurs at him, trying to insult the girls and that sort of stuff, and basically stalking him throughout the city. It's absolutely insane that actually happened. Like, what type of man follows another man just because he is with girls? Like, that shows you that some people have Negrophilophobia, the fear and love of the Black body. And what the Albanian men in this video did, and also during my time in Albania, is show that they have an inherent insecurity about Black men being in their space, etc. Even if we're not bothering anybody, even if we are minding our own business, even if we're trying to have a good time as tourists, Negrophilophobia makes people fear and love the Black body in spaces where they don't in places where they don't usually see the Black body. And from Joel Tamara's experience, what he said here is that the girls were defending him, which is good to hear. It sounds like the girls didn't run scared or turn on him and that sort of stuff. The girls were yelling back at the guys that were insulting him them for being with what they suppose are their women. He said that the Albanians in Macedonia were worse in Tirana, from my recollection, if I remember the video. I'm looking at it here. Once again, I won't play it on the stream because I don't know these niggas. Copyright strikes, I do not want that. But yeah, Joel Tamara said basically that these people in Macedonia are worse than in Albania. Now, I will not discount the experiences of another Black traveler, but I enjoyed my time in Macedonia. I went to Macedonia a few times, and it's actually really cool. It's like a funky Balkans. I don't know what to describe it. I don't know how to describe it, but my time in Albania, in Macedonia, was really cool. I went to Lake Ohrid. I went to Skopje. I went to, there's another place right behind Lake Ohrid. That's like a small town full of Albanians too. That was the first time I actually like met some Albanians, and I didn't have any problems then until I actually went to actual Albania. I think the problem is actual Albanians in Albania are like really messed up because they went through years of brutal communism, and now they're open out into the rest of the world, and they don't know exactly who they are. That's my theory. And I'm not going to die on that hill on that theory, but that's just my theory about it. But when you talk to the Albanians, at least, or when you deal with the Albanians in Kosovo or in Macedonia, in my opinion, they're a bit more chill. They're a bit more chill. Yes. And when I say a bit more chill, we have to remember we're talking about ghetto Balkans. We're talking about ghetto Balkans. So, like, of course, in Kosovo and in Macedonia, I got stairs followed around the stores, people pointing, stuff like that. Yeah, but it's not like the racial slurs that I saw in Albania. And then on top of that, in Macedonia, there is a lot of Islamophobia. One of the memories that I had while in Skopje, I was just going for a walk, and in the neighborhood, somebody spray painted on the side of the wall, "Fuck Islam," right? And most of the Albanians are Muslim, though there are a lot of Christians, Orthodox and Catholic within them. But yeah, there is that sort of tension within Macedonia and that taboo about the Muslim Albanian presence in their, Orthodox Balkan Slavic country, right? And it's a thing that I don't want to jump into because I'm not into the conflicts that are in the Balkans and that sort of stuff. But I was just saying that there to say that maybe similar to how the Muslim Mauritians are, somewhat cooler with Black people because they live on the margins and the fringe. What is happening in Albania, or what is happening in Macedonia with their Albanians? Maybe they are a bit nicer to Black people because they recognize a little bit of their struggle in us. We have to remember that Black Americans, specifically Black people, but generally because Black Americans are the face for all Black people across the planet, we are the people that symbolize fighting against oppression, fighting for freedom, advocating for all the oppressed, and standing up against the most powerful forces in the world. That's what Black people and Black Americans represent, especially to other groups of people who are marginalized across the world and that sort of stuff. So maybe the Albanians in Macedonia see that when they see Black people, even if they don't know where they're from. I'm just throwing out theories. These are hypotheses. These are just ideas that are in my mind, but that's just what I want to get out to you right there. So yeah, I enjoyed my time in Macedonia, but he said going to Albania, actually in Albania, in Joel Tamara's video, which you should check out in the description of this video. Shout out to all the Black creators. He basically said that, what other YouTubers are saying in Albania about being Black there is true. And he's talking about me. I know he's talking about me because I had the biggest videos about Albania or being Black in Albania, about the racism there. I know he's talking about me. A lot of people don't want to give me credit. They don't want to shout me out. And that's why I did this stream, actually, because nobody's ever shouted me out before except Jay Focused. Jay Focused didn't say my name per se. He didn't say Simon Hill keeps it trill. Because if you say Simon Hill keeps it trill, you will never get a national security clearance. You cannot work for any U.S. government agency if you say Simon Hill keeps it trill. This is a very Black, very raw YouTube channel. If you come and talk to me, pretty sure the next day your credit score will take at least 50 points in a hit. If you come and talk to me and do a live stream with me, I'm pretty sure the FBI will send you a letter. If you come and talk to me, definitely the CIA will tap your phone. This is how raw and Black I keep it on this channel. So when it comes to Joel Tamara and Stephen Ndukwu and Jay Focused and all of them, what I see in common in all of them are Black men who are thinking outside the box, being unorthodox, being brave, not being scared, being men of courage and will, being men of wit, because it takes a lot of wit and intellectual capacity to create YouTube videos, to create content where people listen to your words. And that's what I hope I hope in all my humbleness that I was able to share and depart with this world. You get what I'm saying? I don't want to leave this world without making some sort of positive impact. I want every Black person on the planet to feel in their chest, in their hearts, in their souls, that they are capable of anything, that we have no box that we live under. We do need to take personal responsibility, in the words of Living Wisdom, but we need to be fighters, soldiers, and warriors in the battle against white supremacy. And dictating our own lives is the first thing that we must do in the battle against white supremacy. We should be able to travel anywhere around the world, say exactly what we go through, say exactly what is in our hearts and minds, and not be afraid of the consequences. I know that I work very hard as a Black man, and what I do on this platform is show you that my hard work can pay off, because I do not show up here unless there's a check. Ain't nothing moving but the money. Ain't nothing moving but the money. I would not be sitting here talking to myself in a chat that is dead as Liza Minnelli. No, wait, no, Liza Minnelli's still alive. Ain't that something? In a chat dead as Henry Kissinger without the will and determination that I have, but also without the remuneration and compensation. And that doesn't take away for the fact that I don't want fame, I don't want glory. That doesn't take away from that. But that goes to show you, people say that Black men need to work hard. Joel Tamara works hard. Stephen Ndukwu works hard. Jay Focused works hard. And what do all of them experience? What have all of them experienced or said they talked about? Anti-Black racism. All of these Black men are not criminals. All of these Black men are not thugs. All of these Black men are not gangsters. And what's the common denominator in all of their experiences that they're talking about in their YouTube videos? Anti-Black racism that they have experienced, which goes to show we are in a battle. We are in a war that must constantly be fought. We must always be vigilant. We must always be aware and woke and ready at all moments. And I want to thank everybody who watched my videos and spread that message out there. Even the people that hated on me, even the people who believe for some reason that I'm a passport bro coon who wants to tell people to pull themselves up by the bootstraps, wear a suit and tie, and talk proper English. I'm talking proper English. I'm speaking the King's or Queen's English now to tell you that white supremacy is the devil. Anti-Black racism is the devil. Black travelers traveling to different countries, documenting their experiences and going through anti-Black racism all across the world is the devil, and is white supremacy in play. And that's what we need to be wary of and conscious of. Joel Tamara's video is excellent. It's still playing right here. And I want to say shout out to the brother for having the patch blonde stripe in his head. It matches his look. He has a very unique look. He's got that like Wiz Khalifa meets like young jock type of look to him, man. He's got the, he looks like he would be a fire trap rapper in Atlanta in like 2005. So I'm not trying to roast, but I'm just saying, man, all these brothers, when I look at them, I see myself. I see myself in Jay Focused. I see myself in Stephen Ndukwu. I see myself in Joel Tamara. And I want to say that I see myself in you if you are a Black man in this world. I don't mean for my words to be harsh, for my words to be venomous. I just hope that they are enlightening and inspiring for you and motivational for you to get up every day, grind it out, and not be afraid to be Black and live life in this world that is hostile to our life and expression. It will always be hostile to our life and expression until we defeat white supremacy, but we will not defeat it with our eyes closed. That is the purpose of the Black Sit content. That is the purpose of all the other Black YouTubers who are talking about their experiences traveling abroad. The focus is not to harp and whine and bemoan and cry our circumstance. It is to enlighten people. And the people who make it harder for us to advance as a people are the people who tell us to close our eyes, to close our mouth, and to close our ears. No, we will not be dumb, deaf, and blind. We will be out here with our words and with our written statements. We will be out here with our YouTube videos. We will be out here with our cameras. We will be out here with our cell phones. We will talk about our experiences. People that would want us to shut up are the people who would be happier that the status quo remains. But the status quo should not remain. The status quo should not stand. This system where we live in a world where so much Black wealth is the backbone for so much wealth of the Western world is a symbol of white supremacy. All this talk about Black people going to Albania, going to Mauritius, and getting ill treatment is white supremacy in play, and that needs to be defeated. Number one, because it's bad for everybody involved. We want to travel to Mauritius and spend money. We want to go to Albania and spend money. We want to help generate the economies of the world. Yet and still, because of anti-Black racism, we are denied the opportunity to help other people develop and also enrich ourselves through the joys of travel. Traveling is a beautiful thing. Without traveling, I would not be the man I am today. And without the opportunities that I've been given, I would not be standing before you. But yet and still, while I talk to you right now, there are people right now who are working day and night to make sure that this message doesn't reach you. YouTube is trying to always shut me down. They limit how much money I make on a lot of videos, even if I don't cuss. Well, today, I don't give a fuck. I don't give two fucks at all. I know that will get this video limited views. I know this video will not reach as many people as it will, but that's okay because number one, even I have fear. Even I am afraid. And the first thing I am afraid of, like I said at the beginning of this video, is that my words will be misconstrued, that my words will be misinterpreted by people. But please don't misinterpret this. Please don't misinterpret this as all. We don't want Black superiority. We are not saying that we need to travel to countries all across the world and everybody be hyper aware, hyper PC, hyper woke, and everybody just suck our big Black dicks. No, that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is being treated like normal human beings. And yelling at people racial slurs in the street is not treating somebody like a normal human being. Harassing them at the airport just because they come from Kenya, South Africa, Nigeria, Niger, Congo, whatever, is not treating people like normal human beings. Following people around the store is not treating them like normal human beings. Harassing Black men because they're in Albania, supposedly dating or sleeping with Albanian women, and yelling at those women and yelling at those men is not treating them like normal human beings. We are not asking for Black superiority. We are not asking for a replacement for white supremacy with Black supremacy. We are not asking for that. We are asking explicitly to be treated like normal tourists, normal travelers, normal people on this planet who want to see God's creations before we pass on to the next life. That is it. That is it. And if you don't like that message, then really look yourself in the mirror. Really look yourself in the mirror to ask yourself why you're going to leave a long, stupid comment that says Simon is advocating for Black racism against white people. That is not what we are talking about at all. We do not want racism or discrimination against any group of people. We do not hate white people. We do not hate any nationality of people. We do not hate any religious group of people at all. What we are demanding is our ability to be on this planet, experience all the things that humans can go through and not be hurt in the process, spiritually, verbally, physically, whatever. Nothing should be done against us as a people. That is the point of my videos, my content, and everything that I release. And that's what I hope people will take from this. Please do not misconstrue my words. The luckiest thing that can happen to me is that this video only gets 10 views, because I would hate for anybody to listen to this and then walk away from this with more anger in their heart. I speak from a sense of passion. I speak from a place of fire in my belly because I'm very motivated about this. But what I do not want at all is anybody to walk away from this and then say something to me like, yeah, Simon's got me turned up to hate on white folks or discriminate against people or go to other countries and just talk about racism there for clicks and likes. That is not the point of that. Be honest, be real, be Black, and keep it true. Keep it true. I take back what I said earlier. The luckiest thing that can happen to me is that people listen to this message all the way to the end. Because every time I open my mouth, I want every single word to be clear. I think about exactly what I want to say. I get my message to you point blank, square, period. I don't hide nothing. I shoot from the hip and let it be. And I hope you felt that really, sincerely. Shout out to Jay Focused. Shout out to Stephen and Duckwood. Shout out to Joel Tamara. Shout out to everybody else who's out there traveling, whether you are documenting it or not. I do not suggest that everybody go out there and document their experiences, because I think on one hand, it's a hard road. It's a path that comes with a lot of criticism, a lot of hate. Imagine waking up every morning, opening your YouTube Studio app on your phone, and you see a bunch of racial slurs of people attacking you, attacking your character, attacking the things you have done in your past when all you tried to do was inform people. It's not easy. I know that Joel Tamara is getting a lot of hateful comments in his comment section. I know Jay Focus is getting a lot of hate in his comment section. I know Stephen Ndukwu is getting a lot of hate in his comment section, because the number one thing the white supremacists hate is when we actually call them out on the BS, because they would rather do their dirt in the dark. But we will let no stone go unturned. We will let no stone go unturned. Anywhere there is anti-Black racism, we should call it out. Anywhere you have a platform and people listen to you and you are a Black man, you should use your voice for good to advocate for your people. You should call out the discrimination that happens against your people. And that's why I am proud of these brothers. I have nothing ill to say against them. I have nothing but good wishes for them, because anytime you are a Black man on a place like YouTube that's owned by the white man, and generally they try to suppress our content, suppress our reach, make sure nobody checks out our videos, anytime you are able to crack through that, anytime you are able to make it to that other side and be successful on this platform, it's a blessing. And with that blessing, you have to use that to actually advocate for something good. We don't live on this planet for 60, 70, 80 years to just then pass on with a bunch of money that we can't take with us. What we have here on this planet is just one life to live and one thing to give, and that's blessings to other people, information to other people. Each one teach one, pass it down to the next generation. And that's what I hope Stephen does. That's what I hope Joel does. That's what I hope I have done on this channel. And I hope that's absolutely clear. Please let this be clear. Please let this be the last message that I have to put out there to clarify my ideology, my viewpoint, and everything that I've tried to disperse on this channel. I feel like I have been getting across because the people are doing what I've been doing for the past few years. And I hope these brothers take it further, because for me, I'm going to become a sociologist. You are looking at the future Dr. Simon Hill, the sociologist emeritus at some university, where I'm teaching the next generation, where I'm passing down my knowledge, where I will do something good in this world. So shout out to all you brothers. Thank you for watching this stream. I set it off in here because I want to show and prove to people that I have no compulsion. I will not back down from anybody, even if they're up in my chat, even if they donated to my channel. Even if you've donated to my channel, even if you've contributed to my success in some way, nobody is safe when it comes to anti-Black racism. Nobody is safe when it comes to calling out anti-Black racism. So my name is Simon Hill. Thank you for watching this, and peace.